Tony gained his PPL many years ago and hasn't flown for some time, so I wanted to see if he still had what it takes to hover an R22. So we headed off out in the local area first just to gain or regain some attitude control, which he did a cracking job at. And you can see he's flown us virtually all the way in on the transition to the hover. And then we're going to just start practicing individual controls to see if he can still master the hover. We're going to start off with just the Cyclic first of all, so a nice horizon in front of us or something off in the distance. We're into wind, so we've got the trees in the background there that we can focus on, so we can look at the pitch and the roll. And what Tony expressed is he wanted to see if he could still catch the helicopter, and what I mean by that is, of course, it is unstable in pitch and roll with just the Cyclic, so we're always having to correct every correction that we make. And that's what we're just practicing here, just watching, just sort of retraining Tony's brain, as it were, just to be able to see that, recognise it and make the input in time. To help with stability, we're just going to start moving forward, just gently, a bit like a hover taxi really, and that just gives a tiny bit more stability to the helicopter and give Tony a bit more of a fighting chance. And so you'll see it starting moving forward. And there we have it, a bit more stable this time. So it's good, well done. Now he's getting the hang of that, you'll see me suddenly introduce some yaw. There we are, yaw left. Now what I'm interested to see if Tony tries to correct with right Cyclic, which is obviously not the right thing to do. And he didn't, which was good. And there we are, yawing to the right again to see if he'll instinctively put some left Cyclic in an attempt to stop the yaw, but he didn't. And that's good, because that shows experience. When first learning to hover, students often will get that muddled up, the difference between yaw and roll, and we have to concentrate quite a lot between the pedals and the Cyclic to train the brain to recognise the two different movements. And so now I'm just demonstrating to Tony about the pitch, correction, the roll and the yaw, and how it would be very easy to confuse the two, but to remind ourselves, if it's roll, correct it with the Cyclic; if it's yaw, correct it with the pedals. It does get tricky when it's yawing and rolling at the same time, but that's what we're trying to practice and train for. Tony's now practicing with pedals controlling the yaw, of course. You can see his hands not on the Cyclic or the collective lever. I'm doing all that part of it. And a similar experiment there, I'm going to roll the aircraft with the Cyclic to see if he'll react with the pedals. And he's doing a good job, and remind him just to focus ahead, just keep it pointing straight ahead with the pedals, ignore the roll. And that was very good. And then of course it's time to see if we can put the whole lot together. So Tony's now got, you can see Cyclic pedals, you just can't see his left hand, it's down there on the collective lever. It's looking good. Just keep it nice and straight with yaw at the moment. We've got a little bit of drift, but nothing too much to worry about. A little bit of yaw, but for the most part we're still pointing in the same direction. And a reminder from me just a moment ago, just to keep it straight with the pedal, that really does help. And that's about it, that's our time up. It's time to head back. We've got to cross the active runway, back to the flying school. What I've about to do is give Tony the pedals and just say to him, all you got to do is keep it nice and straight with the pedals in the direction that we're travelling in. So I'm going to control the travel with the Cyclic. And Tony's got to keep that yaw under control, point it in the same direction that we're travelling in. Sounds easy, it's not as easy as it sounds though, to be fair. One of the most common faults we find is students or pilots look through the screen, but they look through the centre of the screen, so they look diagonally across the cockpit, and then they use the pedals to yaw the nose or the centre of the screen round in front of them, so we end up flying slightly sideways. Not happening here, it's looking pretty good. I remind him, look straight ahead. Well done, Tony. We're going to land over here now, and while shutting down towards the end you might hear a mini debrief on what we did at during that offering session.
running to do that, by the way.
You just have to try and ignore that sensation of, oh my god, it's getting away from me, and just relax and focus on just keeping it back under control.
What I had forgotten, because it used to be intuitive,
Yeah, of course.
is that actually is the issue of when you are doing that, you put your cyclic in, whereas actually it's pedal and everything else.
Just takes a quick bit of brain training again to get people back into that groove of this is pedals, this is roll, this is cyclic.
It's so bloody obvious.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
But in that split second, it's easy to put the wrong type of input in with the control.
Yeah.
The tricky ones is, for instance, if it yaws to the left but rolls to the right, you've got to do right pedal but left cyclic, or that kind of thing.
Yeah. What was the wind today? Because the wind couldn't have been better, could it?
It's allegedly somewhere around about sort of 5, maybe maximum of 10 knots on the north side grass. That's 5-6 knots.
Yeah,
nothing too much.
Yeah, it felt that it was a little bit more than that, but that was probably more.
There's a very small amount of turbulence caused by the trees, but in particular buildings. That's why I kept up this end, not down that end, because it hits that build, that hangar, and it swirls around all over the place.
Paul, thank you.
That's all right, pleasure. That was good.
Well, I hope that was of some use. You can tell Peter, well, okay.
He's still got it.
He's got a bit of it.
There's still some of it. Now look, you can give my camera a wave. Hey.
Because I thought